Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Wait. Welcome. Could someone just chat in, make sure I know you can chat in and make sure I know you can hear me? Can you all hear me? Anybody? Great. Well, let's begin. Welcome, everybody, to the Integrative Psychiatry and Wellness Program's Wellness Break on Mondays at 12:15 to 1. Today, the topic is daily practice to cultivate resilience. And my name is Debbie Cohen. We'll start with a children's storybook. It's called Perfect Square by Michael Hall. I don't know if you know it, but for sure the pages will look backwards in your screen, but I'll show you the pictures and read the text. It was a perfect square. It had 4 matching corners and 4 equal sides. And it was perfectly happy. But on Monday, the square was cut into pieces and poked full of holes. It wasn't perfectly square anymore. So it made itself into a fountain that babbled and giggled and clapped. On Tuesday, the square was torn into scraps. So it made itself into a garden. On Wednesday, the square was shredded in strips. So it made itself into a park. On Thursday, the square was shattered. So it made itself into a bridge. On Friday, the square was snipped into ribbons. So it made itself into a river. On Saturday, the square was crumpled and ripped and wrinkled. So it made itself into a mountain. On Sunday, the square waited to see what was next. It waited and waited. Nothing happened. Its 4 equal sides were confining. Its 4 matching corners were rigid and cramped. So it made itself into a window. That looked out on a mountain, that gave birth to a river, that was crossed by a bridge, that led to a park, that was home to a garden, that had at its center a fountain. That babbled and giggled and clapped. Michael Hall has some great children's stories, but that's not the topic. The topic is not Michael Hall today, though he is great. The topic is resilience. So I wonder if I could open the chat again and you would just share with me what you see about that story and how it relates to resilience. And if you could chat in, we'll start with your shares, and that'll feed the next part of this. You can either chat privately to me, or you can chat to everyone in the group by choosing who you're chatting to. And the way you get to the chat is by clicking on the more with the 3 buttons on the bottom on the black little, I don't know, where you have choices on the bottom of your Zoom. Click on the 3 buttons and you'll have the option for chat. So let's hear from a brave soul. So I'll read out this first chat. I'd love to encourage other of you to participate because you'll get far more out of this. But this is one participant is saying, when things do not go your way, you take what's given and make it into something useful. Yeah, and that's Burkhard. Yep, great, Burkhard, thank you. Exactly, that is the point of the book. And there are times where, we might have found we've been able to do that, and there are other times where we're not as able to do that. And this is just one of those times where things have changed. Our perfect square world, if it were actually a perfect square, is not the same shape that it was before. It's been ripped a little bit or shredded or whatever you might say. We've got another share here. Resilience involves being able to pick up the pieces when something happens and continue on in a different way than you had planned. Yeah, being open to outcome is huge for resilience, and not be, kind of harkening back at what else should be happening. Right, great. Thank you, Lois. Anyone else? Well, I think that captures it. So I'm gonna move us along. So what is resilience? I've given a couple of definitions here. Oops. Neenan says it's the ability to move towards your goals in the face of an adversity or major life stress. The way you can have it, and this is more like the book, Rudders, the way you can have a good outcome despite experiencing adverse life events, which is kind of the boat we're in with COVID now and all the rest of it. And Polk says the psychological growth that can come from living through difficulties, which can then help you deal effectively with future challenges. Right, so we have no idea what's possible when there are challenges. But let's think for a moment, what is it that gets in the way of resilience? Why can't we just roll with it, like Michael Hall's example of this perfect square? I mean, he was quite perfect, even with all the changes, in its ability, its ability to roll with the changes, not to have resistance to the changes and to go with it and then make the best of it. What a great example. And, that was a perfect example of being in flow in that way. But what is it that gets in the way? And I'd love to hear from you first before I share with you. Why don't you share with me? What are your thoughts about what gets in the way of being able to do that? And Lois writes, fear of the unknown and being able to handle things. Yeah, because I'm identified with that sense of myself that felt like that situation was me and part of my world, I have no idea if I'll be able to handle something I don't know about, because that's not something I see as myself or part of my experience. Right. And Julian Kathy says the unknown can be scary. Absolutely. 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 And fear can just kind of close us in a prison of our own making. We all know that. So yeah, the things that get in our way, and I'm going to just show a couple of images of what, Michael Hall was, well, let me just pause for a moment. I'm going to skip that for right now. Michael Hall was able to show us an example of someone who could just let go of one situation and go right to the other without fear of falling, and without the thoughts being consumed with, well, what will happen if I drop the vine for this gorilla? But if we always knew that no matter what, regardless of the changing circumstances, if we always knew that we were okay, we would be like a catcher, always living in the ready position with our catcher's mitt, able to sort of take in whatever life brought to us from like a ready position, so we could organize and move like that perfect square. How nice would that be to have that sense of knowing that we're okay no matter what, which sometimes we're aware of and sometimes not. So I would like to have you just take a moment now, and for yourself, just take a moment. If you've got pen and paper, great. If you don't, you can just think through for yourself 3 difficulties for you, generally, and in this particular moment. And then please chat in some of the difficulties that come to mind for you, so that we have a sense, because believe me, the more specific you are to your experience, the more generally it applies to all of us. And it'll enrich the program for all of us if you can share what are some of those difficulties. I've got the chat box open, ready for your shares. Is the chat button working?
It worked for me.
Oh, well, do you want to share verbally, or? Yes, there you go. Thank you. Being able to further project for my clients. Being able to further a project for my clients while there are fewer resources and more red tape. Absolutely. Resources are strained at the moment for us as human beings right now. And administrative concerns have mushroomed. That is the deal. Our situation has changed. Okay, and another part of resistance is shyness. Right. That's a difficulty, because we can get caught alone with the voice that says you can't do this, right? Which is sort of the antithesis of what resilience is all about. Okay, and another share, what to do about home repairs when you don't have a mechanical thumb, technical difficulties with computers and cell phones, feeling like I might deal with people incorrectly because I don't have good enough social skills. Yes. And, you know, who doesn't have, first of all, the technical savvy that's required in this moment is well beyond most people. So we are all in that boat, and, you know, add home repairs to that and being more isolated than one is usually. And then everyone has, I'm imagining, experiences that sense of self-consciousness in dealing with others and not being able to be with them to get more of a cue at this moment about how I'm doing. But that sort of nagging voice that says, how am I doing? Or, you know, that self-consciousness that comes in. Thank you for your shares. These difficulties are very general to all of us, so I appreciate your candor. Right, so, you know, those kinds of reservations can get in the way of just letting go of one vine and moving to another. And this vine, you know, we don't really have a choice. We're being given a new vine and being asked to catch it from the ready position, ideally, or not. So what gets in the way is, I would say, distracting thoughts and irrelevant feelings. You know, that kind of shyness that holds me back from sharing, or that sense I can't do this, I don't have the skill to, or I don't have the stuff to, I'm not organized, I'm not ready, keeps us from showing up and being willing to just go with the situation. But we get stuck with these distracting thoughts and irrelevant feelings that make us feel very self-conscious and can get in the way of participating, sort of moving freely with life as it comes with us, and then making the best of it, like that perfect square's perfect example of resilience. And we know when we're in that kind of stressed thinking, I'm going to call it, which charges the nervous system and increases a sense of self-consciousness and isolates us with a negativity and really dampens energy, is thoughts of we know we're in it when something's wrong or there's not enough. And that kind of sums it up. Something's wrong and there's not enough. Now, I mentioned the nervous system because obviously thinking those thoughts is going to charge the nervous system. The changed situation and the changing situations charge the nervous system. But we must remember that the thoughts we think when the nervous system is charged are not the same thoughts that we experience when the nervous system is relaxed. So going to the body and going to find that witnessing awareness that can witness an experience and that kind of stays with us through all the changes in our situations and the changes in circumstances, the changes in our energy level, the changes in our state of mind, the changes in our emotions, that sort of ever-abiding presence. Getting connected with that can help us get back to that catcher's mitt image, where we can reclaim that experience of trusting enough to get to what now versus why me. Because if I know I can't do it and I'm being told why, it's very hard for me to even read the directions and slow down inside my mind enough to settle down and read what's on the paper, or look at the resources I do have. If I'm consumed with what I don't have, I'm not looking at what is possible with what I do have. Or if I can let go of that self-consciousness, I am this way, so I can't, versus opening up to what is possible if I let go of those distracting thoughts and irrelevant feelings that are telling me who I am, and open to possibility. You know, just let go and find the vine, knowing all the while I'm okay. So what helps with this? Any ideas, anybody, before I go forward? I'd love to hear your ideas of what you think this punchline is that I'm about to present to you. What's the antidote that supports us in the face of the distracting thoughts and relevant feelings of something's wrong, not enough, and that charged nervous system?
I think that's what we all called I think that's we're all called in. I think everybody's very eager. I was going to say, what is it? Then what can I do? I was really hoping, really looking forward to hoping there's something that I can do or that somebody can do to help us along this path.
That's right. And there is, thank goodness, there is a path. There is. And I was wondering if anyone wanted to sort of see if they knew what I am getting to here, because I am going to share that, and then we're going to practice for the rest of this session. Thank goodness there's a path, because circumstances are always changing. Our state of mind is always changing. Our emotional state is changing. Everything's changing. And we are absolutely going to experience what I call Velcro thoughts that stick with us because they're patterned, very personal feeling. They feel permanent. They give us a sense of self, but they're not helpful, and they're very hateful, and they're not supportive of our well-being. They don't help us get to that what now. Any chats in before I go forward? I will go forward. I bet some of you know where I'm going. You know, we go to school, we learn math, we learn English, we learn science and social studies and all of those great things, but often we don't learn this, although it's being taught more and more. William James is a noted American psychologist, and his ideal of education is the faculty of bringing back a wandering attention over and over again is the very root of character, judgment, and will. No one is compos sui, master of himself, if he have it not. An education which should improve this faculty would be the education par excellence. I would posit to you that this education, which supports bringing back a wandering attention over and over again, is mindfulness practice. I can't seem to get to my next slide. There we go. So when I say mindfulness practice, now some of you might be like, oh no, that's for other people. My head's way too busy for me. I can't do this. I know there's no way to do this wrong, but I'm sure I'm not doing it right. Another example of those distracting thoughts and irrelevant feelings, which can proliferate, and we can go on that track and go on and on and on. I'm not doing it right doesn't only happen in meditation. It happens often in social interactions when we're by ourselves. It's one of those distracting thoughts and irrelevant feelings that we best starve of attention, but which we certainly may witness when sitting for meditation. Now, here's the thing about mindfulness practice. If you're new, or whether you're practiced, I mean, it's good to be around all levels because everyone has something to share on this, and the aim is beginner's mind. Whether or not the mind is busy, or whether the mind is clear, makes no difference. That you sit and attend to what's on the mind, which will bubble up when your eyes are closed or looking down and you starve the attentional faculties. You're not taking in sensory information from outside as much as usual. Whatever's on the mind will come to mind. And if there's a lot going on for you, it's going to look more like that thought bubble that's filled with stuff, because that's the weather. And if there's not a lot going on, or if you're having a day where your mind is very clear despite what's going on, kind of like perfect square, you might have a sunny day where there's not a lot going on. But it actually doesn't matter, because what does matter is the practice of tuning in to your own experience. We know that little children thrive when their parents are paying attention to them, when they're listening to them, when they're attending fully to the child will settle down. In the same way, our mind, whether it's busy or clear, will start to settle down under the influence of that witnessing, that witnessing awareness, which we grow, we develop that muscle of witnessing and watching our experience intimately, simply by tuning in this way. Starving the attentional faculties. We're not watching TV, we're not interacting with someone, but those same pattern thoughts will surface, and whatever's on the mind will come to mind. But it doesn't matter. We can trust the settling process, and we're not aiming to get somewhere. We're not having to have a clear mind. It doesn't matter, because it will change day to day. And if you have a clear mind one day, that might distract you in your next meditation the next day, because you might be hearkening back to when your mind was clear, which is of no help. It doesn't matter. So it's hard to witness thoughts, emotions, whatever's on the mind, without just getting lost in thought. So what's the difference here? Because one is energizing and one is enervating. And we give ourselves an anchor for the attention. Sound is an excellent anchor. The breath is another anchor that's very useful. So we choose a focus for the attention. The body is another one. Body sensations is a fantastic way of bringing about that present focus with very neutral stuff that's not going to overwhelm our attention to where we can't then witness the pattern of thinking. But then we practice going back to what we're choosing for the attention, the sound, the breath, the body. So we're strengthening the muscle of being able to shift where our attention is, notice when it's unhelpful for us, and bring it to what we want, where we want it to be, where it will be helpful. So we'll take a practice now that's called stop. And this is a practice you can take in 1 minute before hitting send on your email or when you're sitting at a traffic light. And the stop acronym is S for stop. Stop whatever we're doing. T, take a breath. O, observe with these anchors, these neutral things that bring us to that present focus and that witnessing awareness. Perhaps open to thoughts and emotions, and then choose where we want to place the attention as we proceed. So we'll take this, but we are going to just warm up to it and then take it with a little bit of extra support for ourselves. And a nice support is a little bit of gentle stretching, because then we have a little bit more stronger sensations to bring our attention to that present focus, to body sensations. Then we'll take a breathing practice that supports a relaxed state, and we'll take a short stop practice afterwards. So I'm going to switch the camera that you're looking at so you can see me a little bit more clearly. And can you see the screen that I'm showing you, where I'm standing on a yoga mat? Not that you need to stand on a yoga mat.
Yes.
You see me? Okay. So you can stand, or you can sit up, as you choose. And just feel your feet on the ground. Feel yourself steady. Spread your toes. And take your right arm out and up to the side of your head if you don't have a shoulder thing. Otherwise, hold the side of your waist. Breathe in and lift from your belly. Feel your feet on the ground. And breathe out, reach over to the left, giving a side stretch through your right side and reaching down into your right foot. Stay relaxed and feel the sensations and your breath. As you breathe in, reach up, and breathe out, lower your right arm. Breathe in, take your left arm out. Breathe out, bring your left arm up. Breathe in, root down and lift from your lower belly. Breathe out over to the right, extending down into your left-legged foot. As you breathe in, reach up. Breathe out, lower your left arm. Now this next one is a twist, and you can do it sitting back down in your chair. So in your chair, feel your feet flat on the ground, heels under the knees at hip width. Take your right hand to your left knee and your left hand back, either to the chair seat or the chair back, but your elbows dropped. Then looking forward, breathe in and lift from your heart like it's a fountain bubbling up. And then breathe out, press the hand against the knee to turn your chest to the side and towards the chair back. Not in a strong, hard way, but in a soft way. You get a lot farther in a twist by softening rather than forcing. But feel your breathing here. It's just another sort of taste sensation, another way to savor what's happening now. But back to that breath focus. And then release and turn the other way. Left hand to the right knee, right hand back. Looking forward again to get the length of your spine. Breathing in, lift up tall, and breathe out. Use the pull from the back hand and the press against the front knee to turn. And again, go back to your breathing. You want that present focus where you're watching your experience and finding a nice, relaxed way of approaching the posture. And release the twist. And now take the hands, take your elbows to your knees. Let the weight drop into the forearms, lift the chest to lengthen the spine, breathe in, and breathe out, slide the hands down the legs, letting your elbows, your armpits rest right over your knees, let the head drop forward. Taking a few breaths here, as long as you don't have any eye conditions that don't like pressure. But you'll immediately feel your exhales longer and stronger. And you'll feel a little blood flow into the brain. Staying with those body sensations and the breath. Now place one hand above a knee with your elbow in by the side of the waist, and same thing on the other side. Feel your feet on the ground and breathe in, lift the head and the heart. Breathe out, come all the way up and maybe close the eyes just to feel the blood flow back down from the head towards the heart. Okay, so now we'll take a practice called 2-to-1 breathing. You want to sit upright because we're working with the nervous system, which runs along the spine. So I like to sit at the edge of my chair to have that upright spine. It keeps me a little more alert than sitting back. But that said, you're welcome to lean against the chair back. I know others who do. Feel your feet on the ground and rest the hands on the legs with the elbows relaxed in at the sides of the waist. So everything is, you're conscious of all these body parts. Soles of the feet, hands, the crown of the head drawing up towards the ceiling so the neck is relaxed. If you're comfortable, close the eyes. If not, turn the gaze down. So again, less visual distraction. Start to track the natural rhythm of the breath without changing it, which is not that easy to do. Having that light of a touch with the attention. Whenever you're ready, keep your inhale just as it is, but let your exhale be a little longer and slower, maybe drawing your navel in and back, maybe pausing for a moment until you feel the urge to breathe in. When you do breathe in when you feel that urge. Nothing extra on the inhalation, whatever comes from that, but let your exhale be a little longer and slower than your inhale. Maybe a pause at the end of the exhale, pacing this for your own comfort. When you feel the urge to breathe in, you do breathe in. And go to your exhale, focusing on the exhale, perhaps until it's twice as long as your inhale, perhaps not, it doesn't matter. When the exhale is longer, it calms the nervous system. It's an excellent practice to take for anyone who has asthma or struggles with what I call over-breathing. When you finish the breath cycle you're on, take 2 more cycles of 2 to 1 breathing. And when you've completed those 2 cycles, allow the breathing to return to its natural rhythm. You might feel that the attention is easier to keep. Well, it might be easier to keep the attention focused on the body sensations than before. You might be a little more interested in the particular expression of the breath now, since it's always changing and always reflecting the state of the nervous system or what we're doing, physical demands of the moment. So we've stopped already, and you're attending to the breath. Take a moment now. Again, eyes are closed. Maybe you can see what's there behind the closed lids. The eyes are open, the gaze is soft, and you just simply witness what the eyes are seeing. Now shift the attention to sounds, taking in whatever's there. Notice any other thoughts and bring it back to that anchor of sound. If you become aware of a thought, a nice practice is to label that thought. Oh, there's planning. Oh, I'm ruminating over that same idea. I'm conceptualizing. I've got a great idea, going with that. And then go right back to your anchor of sound. Letting go of the distracting thought and the irrelevant feeling. Now shift the attention to the breath. Again, getting curious. What happens when the breath flows in? How is it pulled in? And what happens when it flows out? How does it feel? And now shift the attention to body sensations, feeling the soles of the feet on the floor. Feel the upright spine. Feel the temperature of the air on the skin. The length of the neck from the top of the back to the base of the skull. The relaxed jaw. Quiet eyes. And the belly and chest moving with the flow of the breath. Now, as you hold on to that anchor of the feeling of the breathing, allow to float into consciousness anything on your mind, like a cloud passing into the field of vision, attending to it to note, to label, and then to let go, and back to your anchor. There's an emotion that comes up, that bubbles up. Attend. Label. And let go. What's on the movie of the mind? Now. We'll close as I ring the bell, as you bring your attention to what the ears are hearing. Choose where you'd like the attention to be. Going forward after the sound of the bell. If you've closed the eyes, you can open them with a few blinks. You can give a stretch or stand up. And just note for yourself what you noticed by doing that practice. And if you'd be so kind as to chat in closing and let me know what it is you had to notice, what it is you noticed. It'd be great for us to see, and I'll read out your chats. Lovely to have you here today in the middle of the day. I hope you can integrate practice to support your cultivating resilience. Ooh, and here's some of our comments. One person had to leave early. One person got sleepy. One person's heart slowed down. Good noticing both of you. One person is having the experience of the clear mind. How lovely. And I used breathing during chemo and radiation, someone said. How fantastic. I'm assuming that use of breathing was supportive and helpful. So glad you're with us. So I hope you'll stop during your day and practice to cultivate resilience. Come back to that mindful presence that's always there with us through all the changing circumstances and that supports our ability to let go and attend to what's useful and find the best way of working with that new vine that life has passed to us. And it was helpful, that breathing during the radiation. Great. Have a great day, everybody.